What I do here at the museum, this summer is I'm educating children, all over the state of Maine. And this presentation is what I'm going to talk about is engaging children at the museum and how I've done that this summer. So a little bit more about me. Let me see if this decides to. Well, that's all right. Let's see if this, it does work. That works. All right. So a little bit about me. I'm Eli, as I said. I'm 25 years old. I'm from a small mid-coast Maine town, which you might not have heard of, Marl, New Belfast. I've been passionate growing up, about nature and environmental education, which has inspired me to pursue the path of an educator. After getting experiences at 7 different summer camps and settings like that, as well as, leading 14-year-old kids on fun expeditions, as well as being an AmeriCorps member, I decided that this was my path and this was the right path for me. And so I decided I wanted to enroll in the University of Maine at Farmington, and I'm majoring currently in elementary education and minoring in middle school education with a concentration in science. And so I found MMGM, actually, it's a funny story, through a college trip. I was here and I was like, I really liked, being here so much that I was like, I thought I would send an email to the museum, expressing my interest. And thankfully they were able to get back to me, and, accepted me here to this position. And, it really showed me that, if I put myself out there and, go towards my, something that I want, that maybe it can happen, and I'm really grateful for that. So, let me see. Oh, does it work? All right. So I made a little job description of, what, is important to my position. I have a commitment of 37 hours a week to work here, and implementing earth science hands-on curriculum in libraries as well as in our discovery gallery, which is right here, doing science fair Fridays, which is something I'll talk about later. And as well as I'm working on a earth science curriculum for teachers, homeschoolers, and anyone who wants to view that on our museum website, something that's still a work in progress, but I thought I should mention that as well. Something that's come with the position that I think is important, is open-mindedness, effective communication, and being able to work on multiple projects at once, so multitasking, as well as enjoying working with kids. And, I always enjoy giving kids that aha moment, to show that my work is being effective. All right, next slide. So I've talked about my responsibilities here, activity prep, preparing for library activities, which I'll talk later, and, working on tasks, building rapport with community members. And we, of course, at the museum, it's important to set up our activities on our own, so we're self-sufficient. We bring the materials to the places we're going to set them up. And it's always important to be creative, and that's important. Next slide. So what I've accomplished this year, I've helped build an elementary, middle, and teen level scavenger hunt, which I'm going to talk about later. Helped with education and outreach, made and implemented earth science themed activities at the libraries across the state. Created my own activities for the museum Science Fair Friday, which is something that's still going on, which I will talk about, and created the earth science curriculum with 5 lessons, which I'll also touch on. Next slide. So talking about the outreach, education and outreach. So most weeks of the summer, Deb Johnson, who's our coordinator, full-time education coordinator, and I during the summer go out to libraries. And so the themes of our education and outreach lessons vary depending. It could be fossils, it could be something within the earth science realm, but rock cycle, it could be birthstones or even sand art. And I prepare each activity by looking, going through my slideshow, as well as, and then once I get to the library, I prep the activity an hour early. We bring in the activities ourselves so that the libraries don't have to supply any of those. And the libraries provide a room and we get to educate, and we really never know how many kids will show up. So, it really varies. We don't know what ages, so we prepare accordingly. And it could be, there could be 20 kids and 4 adults. Another day there could be 3 people. It doesn't matter to me because I'm happy to teach whoever shows up. And so there's some pictures of our activities at our Norway library, which we did sand dart, as well as rock still life. I have 2 rock still life photos because those are the photos that I had. Because sometimes when I'm teaching, you know, I'm so engrossed in what I'm doing that I'm not able to take photos at the same time. So next slide. So scavenger hunts also have been an important part of my work here. Coming in, I was like, wow, like I was asked to help with our scavenger hunt, making a new scavenger hunt for the museum. And I thought, wow, this would be really cool as an educator to strengthen my creativity. And so these scavenger hunts have been themed after a treasure map and are for 3 education levels: elementary, middle school, and teenage, and adult groups. And the one that's the adult level scavenger hunt is still a work in progress, but I thought I'd share a picture of it anyway. So, and I think, you know, I've worked with the scavenger hunt with our communications and engagement specialist, Aiden McCourt. He does a lot of the graphics, and I've done the questions for these scavenger hunts, and it really has taught me that, you know, I can help to accomplish like a really professional looking scavenger hunt, and I really didn't think I could do that. So it's a really, really cool thing. And what's really important about the scavenger hunts, each floor has, you know, a certain theme, and so that, you know, there's separate floors for the scavenger hunt. So each question pertains to something on each floor, and so that, you know, what I learned is there's a good flow of traffic through the museum overall. Next slide. So Science Fair Fridays. This is something, you know, last summer during my internship, I was doing activities in the Discovery Gallery, and this evolved this year into Science Fair Fridays. Now, this is where, you know, I do interactive and hands-on activities from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. in this very gallery, and I do focus on earth science themed activities. That could be, you know, eggshell geodes like I did one week, or, you know, I've done modeling the rock cycle and with crayons and crushed up crayons, as well as many others. And I'm still going to be implementing Science Fair Friday for 2 more weeks. So if you know anybody, feel free to send them by. But yeah, this is some pictures of interactions I did. You know, I have my table usually set up in the corner, and, you know, I have a couple tables here right where you're sitting, and, you know, I lay out the activities, and it's really a lot of fun for kids and families. Now I'll just talk about my earth science curriculum and the themes. It's still a work in progress. These resources are targeted more towards 3rd and 4th grade students, but they can be used for a variation of ages. And it's a whole unit of earth science and 5 lessons. And I feel like this is not something that's highlighted enough deeply in schools, so it's important to highlight. And it's something that's fun, engaging for kids, with the resources that our museum has to offer as well. And, you know, some of the lesson themes are: what is a core, how are rocks formed, glacial dispersal and how that impacts pegmatites, and quarries versus mining in Maine. And so this is important work. Let me continue. So what I've learned from working at the Maine Mineral Gem Museum, it's, you know, this place will definitely hold a special place in my heart because they let me come in, you know, and, you know, be here, and I really appreciate that. I've tried to give back as much as I can through my curriculum and through my interactive activities, and, you know, having and I felt, you know, it was really awesome to have resources available, and really an honor to have my own program. And also, you know, I've learned professional communication skills as well as learning by doing, which I think is one of the greatest gifts of working here. And just, it's really been wonderful to apply myself, and it shows when I apply myself to something and get an opportunity that I can really succeed. And so I think that, you know, I have the museum's motto here at the bottom because, you know, I think I feel like it relates to what I've been saying so far. So next slide. So definitely Also, a goal coming into this internship for me is, that I needed to work on some of my teaching skills and educational practice. And so I feel like I've gained confidence as an educator through practice and through changing my own note-taking skills specifically, by having note cards available, and just being able to show up and being comfortable in the uncomfortable in the library setting. Not knowing what kids will show up is important, and what questions will be asked, and I've felt prepared in answering those questions and sticking to my lesson plans even if I get a little bit off track. So, continue. So what am I doing after this summer? I'm going to my final year of college at the University of Maine at Farmington, and I'm going to be student teaching in the spring, which is exciting. Hopefully, I'm putting it out there that I'll hopefully be an official teacher. So putting that energy out. I hope to pursue environmental education in the future and hope to be able to teach nature-based curriculum to all age groups. And, I hope to take more opportunities to further my teaching practice, like being at MMGM. Which is awesome, and to improve my practice and to be a better educator and pursue my goals and dreams. So, and I just wanted to dedicate a slide for thanks and appreciation to everyone here. Of course, thank you to Christy and for allowing me to work here, of course. Thank you for my colleagues. Thank you for the people in Bethel who have made this summer really wonderful. And of course, thank you to Larry, although he's not here, for making this museum possible. So thank you.